Bliss.io.
Hey folks, here I am with my friend Philip Nelson. We are here to discuss all aspects of popular culture, and tonight we're going to focus on martial arts movies, which have exploded everywhere. I remember seeing Enter the Dragon in a theater in Boston when it first came out. My friend Randy and I were the only white boys in the theater, and a fight did break out several rows in front of us, but we still enjoyed the movie. When the martial arts craze started, it began with Chinese Hong Kong kung fu flicks, such as Five Fingers of Death, which is a classic. And then along came Bruce Lee, and he brought a new intensity to the leading role. He was a charismatic leading man, and we credit Bruce with helping to launch the martial arts craze in the West with Enter the Dragon and Return of the Dragon, which he wrote and directed. But after that, the chains were off and they started coming Fast and Furious, which contains martial arts, by the way, until you're getting a whole new wave of Western martial arts movies. You could say they started with Chuck Norris. Chuck is the guy that really put him on the map, thanks to Bruce casting him in Return of the Dragon. But then Chuck went on to make a series of low-budget chop-socky movies, which led to the Chuck Norris legend, which is so funny. You all know the Chuck Norris legend is, what does the devil look for under his bed before he goes to sleep? He looks for Chuck Norris. And Chuck was a great martial artist, and by all accounts, a wonderful human being. Not much of an actor, though. And that holds true for most of the Western martial arts actors. I think the next big name on the list was Steven Seagal, whose first four movies were outstanding, but then Steven started eating. But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's not forget Jimmy Cagney, who's a third-degree black belt in judo and displayed it in the movie Blood on the Sun, among other places. Now we're looking at a whole raft of Western martial artists. Jason Statham is probably the most prominent and popular. Jason makes about 4 movies a week. It's hard to keep up with him, but the other notable names include Scott Adkins, who's a British actor who's very good, and a new face on the block, Bren Foster from Australia, who's made an outstanding impact with his movie. Just a word about Scott Adkins. I consider the Ip Man movie starring Donnie Yen among the best martial arts movies ever made. And I remember watching Ip Man #4, where he comes to visit his student, Bruce Lee, and ends up fighting this vicious white army officer who doesn't think the Orientals can fight. And I remember watching that movie and saying, who was that guy? He was just a terrific actor. I hated him so much. So I watched it again. Lo and behold, it was Scott Adkins.
Well, you've left out a few of my favorites. You are way more versed on the martial arts movies. I would consider you a thought leader in that category. I'm just a kid who wanted to be a ninja as a young man, and so the movie that blew me away was like Revenge of the Ninja. Sho Kosugi, I think was his name.
Yes, I've seen it.
And it was like, okay, I want to do that. And my great grandmother made me a ninja suit because back then you didn't have the internet. So we just found photos until we gave her some reference, and I insisted on my throwing star pocket on the inside. And my brother and I would run around the neighborhood dressed as ninjas, throwing stars at neighbors' houses. Needless to say, we got in a lot of trouble, but everybody knew that we had no skills and we didn't even have good aim with our throwing stars. But, I loved that as a kid. It was just the imagination of the mystery of the ninja, the stealth, the martial arts, and I liked the weapons. So that era with Sho Kosugi and the Revenge of the Ninja, I think opened it up for me. Every little kid that I went to elementary and middle school with was coming to school with Black Belt magazine, so we could look up the latest nunchucks, and we were like Napoleon Dynamite, where we knew about it, just didn't have the skills with it, but martial arts is fun to watch. There's so much skill, and especially in the movies, the choreography is fantastic in some of these films. Another one that I want to mention, I loved Jet Li in Black Mask. Do you remember that one?
Yes, I do. Jet Li is another outstanding Chinese martial arts star. When he was a very young man, he visited the White House as part of the Chinese delegation, and Nixon asked him if he would join his bodyguard unit.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I guess he said no and went into the film business.
Right. Well, Jet Li is only about 5'6", if that. But he's a superb martial artist, and he had a mesmerizing screen presence, which you can see in many of his, in all of his movies, in fact, like Fearless, which is one of my favorites. And one of the recurring themes in Chinese-made kung fu movies is get the Japanese, because the Japanese invaded China prior to World War II, and their invasion was horrific. You've heard of the rape of Nanking. It was a real thing. They've always resented the Japanese. And the theme of many Jet Li movies was he finally ends up facing off with the Grand Master, the Japanese Grand Master, and it's karate versus kung fu. They're always making a big thing about which discipline is better, which I think really ignores the real basis of superiority, which is the individual, which fighter is better. Because a good fighter can defeat another fighter in any system if his skills are superior. And it doesn't matter whether it's kung fu or jiu-jitsu or judo. If your skills are superior, you're going to get the upper hand on the other guy.
Or even playing guitar, skill is the key. You could have a great guitarist with a junky guitar, and he's going to sound great. And you could have a guy who knows nothing with an amazing, expensive guitar, and it's going to sound like garbage. The same thing applies to any of these skills, and martial arts is one. I've done martial arts, but was never talented at it. But I did for a while. A friend of mine was a Jeet Kune Do instructor, which was Bruce Lee's form. And, I just for fun, I took some of his classes, and then later I did some Krav Maga. It was just, it's fun to learn some skills, even if you don't really master the skills. I know you are a lifelong avid martial arts student.
I try.
So that means if we're ever out, Mike, you gotta be my bodyguard.
I'll carry it.
Just enough to maybe dodge a few punches and maybe get some punches in, but you've got real skills.
I don't know about that, Phil, but I appreciate it. I have worked hard at it, and the only reason I stopped was because I had to have spinal surgery, and I was falling down on the dojo floor. My left leg went numb. I had the surgery. I've been cleared for all activity. A couple of weeks ago, I was there working out at Karate West, where I do abdominal training and weight training, and my old friends came in and said, come on, you got to take the class with us. So I agreed to take the class, and I couldn't run, and it begins with running up and down the floor, and then running backwards up and down the floor, and then running sideways up and down the floor, and then the side steps, and I was lagging like way behind everybody else. And then we worked with pads and gloves. So I put on the gloves and I'm hitting the pads, and when I was done, my right rotator cuff was yelling, "Mayday, Mayday!" So
it revolted against you.
Yeah,
but said, no, sir, you're done for the day.
Yeah, it's neither here nor there.
Well, it's interesting. Martial arts is, with kids playing video games all the time now, martial arts is a way that you can get kids to exercise and they feel like it's cool. It's like, I'm going to karate, I'm going to judo or jujitsu or whatever, but they feel cool when they go. So it's a great thing for kids, and they can get out some of that, I don't know what to call it, get out some of the angst that they have.
That's true.
You go punch a bag or punch each other in a sanctioned way. Jet Li, another early mainstream martial arts feature that kind of, I think, bridged martial arts into more mainstream. And you may disagree with this, but it was the Green Hornet.
Yeah, well, that was Bruce Lee.
It was Bruce Lee, but he played Kato, and the Green Hornet's sidekick and chauffeur. But that's a superhero comic book that people loved, and now you have a mainstream TV show, and it's featuring Bruce Lee. So I think that in that era, that actually exposed martial arts to a new audience.
It did, and because of Bruce Lee's success, they created the TV show Kung Fu, but they decided that the audience wouldn't go for Chinese star, so they cast David
Carradine.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. I will tell another story. You mentioned Chuck Norris. I loved Chuck Norris as a kid. He was the man's man, sweet 80s hair, sweet mustache, and great at martial arts. But I had the opportunity to work with him on Walker, Texas Ranger.
Oh, really?
So I worked for a company for years called NewTek, which invented desktop video with this product called the Video Toaster back in the 80s, and Lightwave 3D, which is what was used to make Babylon 5 and Sequest and Unsolved Mysteries and a lot of movies. Titanic was a later one. But what was really cool is they were using our technology and software on the show for Walker. One of my good friends, Deuce Bennett, he had a company in Dallas called Creative Imagineering, I think. And they did special effects. They did the breakaway bottles, explosives, all kinds of stuff. But they started doing the on-set graphics. So you're in a control room and you see stuff on monitors. We were helping create and feed that. So one of the things I would like to say about Chuck Norris is I did not expect him to be such a very nice guy. So I'm on set. Michael Ironsides is on this episode. There were some plot holes in this episode. It was called the Thunderhawk. It was a sonic space weapon. So we all know sound waves don't travel well in a vacuum, right? But it was a sonic weapon fired from space. But anyway, leaving that aside, we break for lunch. I sit down at the crew table. They had good catering. And, I'm talking to my Jack Bennett, who's my friend that's working on the show. And Chuck Norris literally just sits down next to me with a plate of food, eating with everybody. And, he had a nice trailer out back, but he's like, no, I was like, hey, welcome to the table, and he goes, yeah, he goes, who wants to eat by themselves, and he was just very nice. And I told him about a friend of mine from church whose son is his biggest fan. I said he couldn't believe I was coming on set today. And Chuck Norris gets up from the table, walks to his trailer, comes back, hands me a badge, an autographed picture, or he signed the picture at the table, wrote the kid's name, and then handed me a bullet, some bullets that had been shot, and said, give him this and tell him that Walker says thank you.
That's great.
I didn't ask for it, but it's like, what a nice guy. I think that's why he was so beloved, because he was a nice guy to his fans. He wasn't an arrogant schmuck who acted like he was better than everybody else. He was just a good guy who found an angle and created a great career around it with a lot of skill and hard work. But great guy. And I think that's also why Walker, Texas Ranger had such a long run on primetime television.
I have here a list of the 250 greatest martial arts movies of all time, and they had to narrow it down. Number one is Fist of Fury. And, I have to say that's one of Bruce's cruder movies. It was made in China. It was made in Hong Kong. And it's not that gripping. Number 2 is Fearless, and that stars Jet Li, I believe. Yes, it stars Jet Li. I have that movie, and it's excellent. And that's one of the movies where he ends up fighting the Japanese guy at the end. Then 3, Drunken Master, starring Jackie Chan. I had dinner with Jackie Chan in Hong Kong. He was a delightful fellow as well, but I was shocked to find him chain smoking throughout the meal.
During the dinner?
Yeah.
Bite, smoke, bite, smoke.
Yeah. He probably gave that up years. And number 4 is Ip Man, and I agree with that, starring Donnie Yen.
I've never heard of that one.
Oh, I can't believe that. I'll send you a link to that, Phil, because you got to watch it. Donnie Yen is an American. He was born in the States, but he studied martial arts, and he's the real deal. He got in a fight in Los Angeles with his girlfriend. They were leaving a bar, and a couple of guys started hassling him, and he sent 2 of them to the hospital.
Wow.
Number 5 is Enter the Dragon. Number 6 is The Raid 2. Now, when we get into The Raid 2, it brings me to one of my complaints about modern martial arts movies. I have to say the choreography keeps getting better and better. The choreography is often the best thing in the movie, such as every John Wick movie except the first one. By the time you get to John Wick 4, it's just one endless battle scene. And by the way, the blind swordsman in that is played by Donnie Yen. That there's no story, and they have these ridiculous concepts like the high table and the secret continental list, and it hasn't really been built up to anything. So you just wonder what the hell's going on, which leaves you admiring the exquisite fight choreography, which has changed a great deal since the Chinese were producing their movies. I watched Drunken Monkey Kung Fu a while back, because it had been recommended to me. It's at least 30 years old. And in it, the fight choreography is beautiful. It's very elegant, but it's also very posed. It doesn't flow fast. It doesn't look like a real fight. It looks like a group of dancers who have been superbly trained to get every move exactly right, and they pause after each move so you can admire them.
So where does Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon fall on that list? Way down? Did you not like that? Was it too over the top and all the running around in the air stuff?
Yeah, I don't go for wire fu. Wire fu is not real martial arts to me, and that's why I admire Jason Statham's movies and Scott Adkins.
Jason Statham, he would actually, you would think that could be a real fight. But I'm going to tell you the greatest fight scene in movie history.
All right.
And I want you to tell me if you agree.
All right.
Have you seen the fight scene in Bridget Jones' Diaries?
Are you kidding me? No, I've never seen Bridget Jones' Diary.
Starring Renee Zellweger and Colin Firth and a couple other guys. It actually, the reason it's the greatest fight in movie history is because it's what a real fight between 2 dudes who don't fight look like. They're trying to kick each other and missing and falling on the ground, and everybody's like, a fight. Dude, you have to. And the funny thing is when they get into the fight, it's Hugh Grant and I think it's Hugh Grant and Colin Firth, I think. And they get into a fight in a restaurant and they fall through the window. And the minute the fight starts, the song is "It's Raining Men, Hallelujah." Dude, it's comedy gold. As a martial arts fan, you will not really appreciate this fight, but
I will.
Guy who's seen really bad. Yeah, I mean, everybody's seen those fights. Nobody fights in real life like it looks in the movies. It's very rare. And most of them are like dudes like off balance and just doing this, and and this is what the Bridget Jones Diary fight is all about. And I was like, this is the first actual realistic random dude fight I've ever seen in movie history. So I'd urge all the Barkwire audiences to go out and just go YouTube the Bridget Jones Diaries fight
I will look it up tonight.
That's all you need to watch. You're going to laugh, Mike, and you're going to text me like, oh my gosh, dude, that is comedy gold.
Have you seen The Treasure of the Sierra Madre?
No.
Oh, you have to see that because there's a bar fight in it. between Humphrey Bogart and this guy who stiffed him on a job, and Humphrey's pale. And when I saw that, I said, this is the most realistic fight I've ever seen in my life. And it's like you described, only there's no humor. They're fighting with this guy. He hits him in the head with a bottle. They end up on the floor tussling with one another. And finally, the two of them just end up kicking the shit out of him. And he says, okay, boys. And he pays them the money. You got to see that. It's also a great movie. John Huston directed it. His father, Walter Huston, is in it. And of course, it's Humphrey Bogart.
Wow. Yeah, we have derailed from your greatest martial arts movies as we go to realistic bad fights.
Well, it's tangential.
And I will say, since I mentioned Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, it wouldn't be me guesting on your show without a Bob Burden reference, because one of my favorite Bob Burden Flaming Carrot covers is the story was called Crouching Carrot, Hidden Chicken Wing. And it was this chicken wing, a giant chicken wing, and it's hiding behind a rock. And Flaming Carrot's like, we know this chicken wing's around here somewhere. And it's like, yoo-hoo. It's totally surreal and weird. But Crouching Carrot, Hidden Chicken Wing.
That's Bob. I enjoyed the comics she gave me in San Diego, especially the one about the supervillains. Although it was a bit grim with the body count. All right. Drunken Master, Jackie Chan. Police Story 3, Super Cop, Jackie Chan. Hero, starring Jet Li. Chocolate. Have you seen Chocolate?
I have not seen Chocolate.
That's a good
one.
An autistic girl with powerful martial arts skills looks to settle her ailing mother's debts by seeking out the ruthless gangs that owe her family money. I bought it on my nephew's recommendation. In fact, I have it. I may watch it again. I may watch it tonight.
I thought you were going to say Chocolat, that exotic Oscar-winning film.
No. What else? John Wick Chapter 4. John Wick uncovers a path to defeating the High Table. But before he can earn his freedom, Wick must face off against a new enemy with powerful alliances across the globe. You know, I do have to say this, that Scott Adkins is in that. And he's excellent as the bad guy, even though he wears a fat suit. But it's really just all fighting. And the choreography is magnificent. And one thing you see in these new fights that you never saw in these old Chinese fights are joint locks, very fast joint locks and spinning people around. Statham does that a lot. He gets hold of your wrist and he spins you like a top. Always and with your head hitting into a wall. Wheels on Meals. That's one of Jackie Chan's best movies, maybe his best.
I got to comment on John Wick because I think John Wick has set the record as a series for most people thrown through glass. I mean, it almost becomes comical. If it was a drinking game, you would be hammered in about 30 minutes because they get into a fight and they just happen to have like 20 panes of glass lined up as decorations, and they throw them through one and then they throw them through another. And it's like constant being thrown through panes of glass. So next time you watch any of the John Wick films, you could start your own drinking game and have to take a drink every time someone is thrown through glass. But I warn you, Uber afterwards, or just stay where you are.
I just watched Shelter, which is one of Jason Statham's latest, but not his latest because he's got a new movie out this week. And Shelter, unfortunately, falls into a trap that so many of these movies do, where once he's displayed his martial arts skills against a number of individual opponents, they have to up the stakes. And finally, they get to the armed gangs. And it ends with Jason Statham shooting dozens of nameless, faceless government assassins who are trying to kill him. And people don't tune into martial arts movies to see a climax that's a big shootout. And that's what happens in Nobody and The Beekeeper as well.
Well, Nobody, the thing that I think works in Nobody, because the whole concept of Nobody is a little over the top ridiculous.
That's true.
And so I would be disappointed if at the end of Nobody, it wasn't like just insanity. But I liked The Beekeeper. I did not have a problem with The Beekeeper, and the reason is I thought The Beekeeper had a really cool premise and a reason.
He did.
It was the scamming of the elderly, and they didn't know who they had messed with, which is a common theme in these movies. Oh, you don't know who you just made mad. But I thought in The Beekeeper, I really enjoyed it. Even watching the movie with the over the top scenes, I didn't sit there and think, okay, this is stupid. Like in John Wick, when he was thrown through his 30th pane of glass, I'm like, okay, this is getting a little ridiculous. But in Beekeeper, I never really had that feeling, even though I knew it was over the top. It was crazy, but I think it was expected. But I love the concept of The Beekeeper and the fact that woman, committed suicide because she was scammed out of all the charities money. And I think, for a social, improvement of humans, I think people that love action films actually got to be empathetic to people elderly that get scammed. So there's a benefit to society for watching The Beekeeper.
Well, I could disagree with you. When he goes to the government building, just start shooting everybody who comes out. Not all those people were in on the scam. But as I recall, the scammer was the president's son.
That's true. He was.
All right.
It was silly. It's not going to win any Oscars, but.
No, I enjoyed it. House of Flying Daggers, which I recommend. That's a Chinese production, came out in 2004. And it stars Ziyi Zhang. She's a woman martial artist, and her skills are phenomenal. And that's aside from that, I mean, it's also a very well done movie. But you see a lot of women starring in martial arts movies, like the John Wick spin-off Ballerina. And the problem with that is the woman is excellent. She's got her skills, but she only weighs 105 pounds. And you see her throwing around dozens of guys that weigh 200 and 250 pounds. It's just not credible. It's the choreography, and they're doing the choreography beautifully, but you say, could this happen in real life? It's got to look like it happens. It could happen in real life. And that, of course, is one of the big differences between these girl boss movies and a movie starring a real martial artist. I do make an exception for John Woo's remake of The Killer, which takes place in Paris.
I liked that movie. That was a good one. I did
too. I thought that girl who starred was superb. And the choreography was inventive as hell.
In your list, you've mentioned Jackie Chan a lot.
Yes.
Because he is an icon, and he broke out of just being a niche artist to being mainstream actor in a lot of big, high-budget movies. But I have to say, I've never loved Jackie Chan's movies because it's because he ends up making it goofy, and it's the silliness of it. And like it's the opposite of Jason Statham. Jason Statham is stoic and ready to fight, and Jackie Chan's like ooh, and then bouncing around. But his skills are, because he's doing his stunts. He's doing hard stuff, and the guy is just so talented and so skilled. But the goofiness of most of the Jackie Chan stuff kind of loses me, even though it's unbelievable.
Well, you have to see The Foreigner then. The Foreigner was a Western film in which he plays an immigrant in London whose daughter is killed in an IRA attack.
Oh, wow.
So he goes after the IRA, and the head of the local group is played by Pierce Brosnan.
Wow.
And there's nothing jokey about that. It's a stunning movie, and it's probably his best movie.
The Foreigner. I'll have to watch. That's going on my list.
Here we are. Kwan is a humble London businessman whose long-buried past erupts in a revenge-fueled vendetta when the only person left for him to love, his teenage daughter, dies in a senseless act of politically motivated terrorism. His relentless search to find the terrorist leads to a cat-and-mouse conflict with a British government official whose own past may hold the clues to the identities of the elusive killers.
I'm looking to see what streaming services. So it's on Hulu. So I guess I'm going to be watching The Foreigner pretty soon.
Yeah, it's great. They mentioned the Karate Kid is in the top 250 movies.
Sweep the leg, Johnny. Sweep the leg.
Yeah. It was a fun movie, and we all cheered and we all enjoyed it. But I actually enjoyed Cobra Kai a lot more when that came on Netflix.
I enjoyed it. You know what? I can't tell you where I was, but about a year ago, I was forced into a boxing situation.
You too?
I was, and so I had to. We got in the ring, but they were making us. We could not run. You had to basically stay toe to toe and either punch or get punched or block. You couldn't dance around. It was a punching thing. And so my training that I received from Mr. Miyagi came in very handy because I'm up here like this, and you can dodge like back and forth. You can lean back, but you can't move you can't do any footwork.
What kind of crazy stuff is that, Phil?
It was teaching you to get punched is really what it was doing. But what I was doing that was pretty cool is when he would punch, I did a little wax on, wax off, and it worked perfectly. So a punch would come in and I would just wax off, and then he was open and I would come back with, 3 or 4 jabs or crosses, and it was amazing. So I really thank Mr. Miyagi for the training that I received in the entire Karate Kid series, because I don't know. I mean, when I saw the first punch come in, I wasn't going to just take it. So just instinctively, I just went, boom, and waxed off. You remember the wax on, wax off?
Yeah, I do. Did you have headgear?
Yeah, we had a headgear and a mouthpiece. But, yeah, and gloves. But, still, it hurt to get punched.
Yeah.
I actually did really well that day. I knocked the dude down twice in 3 minutes. So,
good for you.
My Mr. Miyagi skills worked. I'm not that skilled of a fighter. I wasn't a brawler as a kid. The only one that could really make me fight was my brother, because he would annoy me so much we would end up punching each other. But yeah, when you mentioned Karate Kid, I couldn't help but tell that story. Wax on, wax off actually does work when you're getting punched. I'm just saying. And when you do this, their momentum takes them through, so their chin is wide open at you. So their momentum comes through, and then you can just come in. So everybody go watch Karate Kid and be ready in case you're attacked.
We're going to have to do a session on boxing movies too, which is another.
Oh, dude, I can go on some boxing movies. I love
completely different genre. However, I have to say one thing that my training taught me, and this is one of the reasons. I picked up Master of Kung Fu when it came out, and I was training at the time, and I thought, oh, this will be good, but there was no Kung Fu in it. So I vowed that I would show real martial arts when I got a chance to write comics, and I choreographed my scenes intricately. I'm still doing that today. In fact, I'm working on a new project, but I did it especially in Badger and Pops. If you throw that scene up, there's an example of what I'm talking about, how the technique flows logically from panel to panel, and you can see it unfold. Instead of the Hulk just waving his fist and 4 sets of legs go flying off panel in 4 different directions.
Well, I am going to say in the top left panel, if Badger had done wax on, it wouldn't have even been hit in the face. He would have avoided that and come straight in for the gut punch. No,
I blame the artist. I blame the artist. Which was Stephen Butler, by the way.
No, that is great. It's Badger did have good action.
Yeah.
And I didn't know you at the time, but it's cool that thought went into it, and your time with martial arts, actually played into how you told this story.
Yeah, I used to demonstrate techniques to Bill Reinhold in person.
Was this in the era when you were also doing thumbnails with your scripts?
Yeah,
so
I was drawing everything out by hand.
Thumbnail on this?
Stephen Butler is the artist on that. I saw Stephen in San Diego a couple weeks ago. He had his own show there. I think they brought him out to give him a special award, which he richly deserves. I'm trying to talk him into joining me for one more stab at Badger, but we'll see. That okay, Pops? Let's take that down. We'll get back to our own ugly mugs. But let me
wait. Oh, you mentioned boxing. I'm going to derail for just a moment and tell you one of my favorite boxing movies. And I guarantee you're not going to pick this one on your list. It stars Dennis Quaid. It's called Tough Enough. Have you ever heard of it?
I think I have.
Where it's a tough man contest. He's fighting in the tough man contest. So it's amateur boxing, but I love that movie. Dennis Quaid and Tough Enough.
Is it tough spelled like it's regularly?
I think it's Pouga enough. Let me look it up.
All right, that's on my list. I just watched Cinderella Man for the second time and was blown away by how powerful and emotional it was. I had forgotten. But anyhow, let's save that for the boxing show and get back to the martial arts, because I wanted to put in a word for Bren Foster, who's from Australia. His first movie was Life After Fighting, and he plays a martial arts instructor whose wife is the ex-wife of a thug who kidnaps their joint child and is also involved with a child smuggling ring. It's a very powerful movie with brilliant martial arts. You can watch it on Tubi. Brent Foster's second movie, Mexicali, is also on Tubi. I recommend that too, although it's not as good as Life After Fighting.
I had to throw this up. This is Dennis Quaid's Tough Enough movie poster.
All right.
So there you go. It's Tough Enough. That's it. I'm back to your topic. Sorry about that.
Well, no, that's fine. I'm going to see if I can find it tonight.
And he also sings country music in it.
Pops, we can't hear you.
Pop is pantomiming today. Pop is doing. He wants to flip.
I have to crash this party.
All right.
I'm going to take you back to the 70s to a little movie called The Warriors.
Yes.
I'm going to take you down into the subway, into a bathroom, and I'm going to show you the most realistic gang fight scene ever.
Go ahead. Let's see it.
I'm not pulling it up right here.
All right.
I'm saying you need to go back and relive that fight scene.
I will. I'll be happy to do that.
It was amazing. There's no funny stuff. It's a dude gets sprayed in the face with spray paint. Dude gets thrown through a stall door. Dude gets smashed up against a mirror on the wall.
Does the glass break at least?
Yes.
All right.
And a baseball bat gets broke on a dude's abs. It's a real looking fight. I know it don't even look choreographed. It looks like some dudes brawling, bro. It really does. Like dudes that know how to brawling. And that's, of course, what it's about. It's a gang movie from New York, right? So you expect everybody in there has some kind of experience with, weapons and everything, right? So you see it all. You see somebody get shot, a couple people get shot, you see somebody get knifed, you see it all in this movie. But that particular fight scene sticks with me forever.
Number 58 on this list of the 250 best is Seven Samurai.
That is fantastic.
Kurosawa. Yeah. And, the Americans paid homage by making the Magnificent Seven, which is based on that, only they replaced the swordplay with gunplay.
Seven Samurai was fantastic. You're right.
But then Akira Kurosawa paid the favor back by adapting Dashiell Hammett's Red Harvest into Yojimbo.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I see they have The Matrix listed here. Ip Man 4, the finale, is listed. Donnie Yen, Scott Adkins. The guy that plays Bruce Lee, and that's very good, very credible. He doesn't have a major part. But he's got a fun. Oh, Beekeeper comes in at number 71.
Wow. That's actually higher than I expected. So I will have a little video I want to play as we wrap, when we wrap up. Whenever you're ready to wrap, I want to just do some commentary of this Bridget Jones Diaries fight scene.
All right, put it up.
Here we go. But let me share my screen. And this is so funny. I just can't. Hold on. Screen 2. Allow. So it pops if you call this. Here we go. Little Bridget Jones, an authentic fight scene that you rarely see in modern cinema.
Right. And that's a good thing.
The kicks. When they were kicking and missing, dude, I was dying laughing.
That is funny. That is funny because that looks like the way real men fight when they don't know what they're doing. That's
hilarious. Sorry I derailed, but
you didn't derail at all. I think that's a high note on which to end this show. And thank you for coming.
Dr. Mall? Yeah, this is Detective Marcus Fulton with Connection County Sheriff's Department, and I have a case I need your help with.
How many bodies?
2. Both ritual killings, both males, no obvious connection.
Are you a hunter, Mr. Fulton?
As much as I can be.
Good. So we're about to hunt the most elusive apex predator there is.
Well, then you better get a good night's sleep. I'll see you tomorrow.
Some killers, they want to be found. Some want to be caught. They want to see their own headlines. This man is not interested in any of that. He's on a mission. He's not going to stop. He's not going to make any mistakes.
There's a reason the Reds is where it is. Hell, even the local tribes haven't been up there in 200 years. They say even the land is evil.
I don't believe in that kind of evil.
Maybe you should.
Hey, what's up? This is Kel Mitchell, and you are watching Madness Entertainment Group. Woo!
It's a place to celebrate heroes that have passed. A place to remember great deeds and past battles. And the place where evil now waits to strike. Galaxy Memorial Park, Volume 2. Crowdfunding on fundmycomic.com.
Ozzy, what are you doing? Come and have a look at this lovely book that was sent over.
You're wrapping in the burn.
Oh, go on and spit the back out your mouth. No one can understand you like that.
Say how far dentist and all.
Oh, well, that's not much better. Ozzy, why don't you sing to me? I can always understand you when you sing to me.
Fucking my brains. What is this my publisher sent me? Inked in black with art so sweet.
So what do you think? Do you like it?
Oh, Lord, yeah.
If you missed the live viewing of any Meg production, you can find all our content on Roku or as a member of this channel. Madness Entertainment Group.